Good morning, President Hakainde Hichilema. Good morning, President Cyril Ramaphosa. Good morning, Captain Ibrahim, the President of Africa. Good morning, Julius Malema, EFF leader in South Africa. Good morning, Kasonde Mwenda in Zambia. I'm happy to say everyone recognizes that we are immigrating from a generation that used to send a message through a letter. If someone is on the other side of the river, you have to put it into something that would be able to float until to that other side of the river. Then when they receive it, they read the name, they deliver it. That generation where when we can make an appointment to travel to go and meet someone else, with lack of transport, it can take a month, a person coming on the roadside waiting for a person who doesn't know exactly where your village is. You spend a night there sleeping by the roadside waiting for someone. Immediately when you leave that person, there'll be no any other connection whatsoever. It was a time and a generation where appointments were so important and were kept word to word. If I, for example, I say I'm coming on the 30th of this month, then on the 30th of this month, they'll be waiting for me at the station, regardless of my delay, they'll wait for me. If it is night indeed, they return back. Early in the morning, they come back to wait for me until the day I arrive. That's how it was so compacted. The love of keeping appointments was actually indeed in place. Today, we are living in a digital world, in a social media world, where when we communicate, we also find our responses from the social media. The last few days' messages, I've received a lot of reply. For example, I want to say, when I've been listening this morning from social media, I'll start by just referring to Given Lubinda revealing the secret regarding the demand of demands of the government to bury Lungu, where he was actually saying
lero ndelanda pano Hakainde alituma attorney general okuti anomba atwale obuteeko bwa South Africa ku court okuti obuteeko bwa South Africa nomba busambe mu mulando.
Okay, this Given Lubinda is actually saying Hakainde Hichilema, what is he fighting? He took the family of the late President Lungu to court, and now is calling, he took the government of South Africa to court so that he can bring the board of Edgar Lungu. He is standing very much opposed to all the efforts that President Hakainde Hichilema is trying to put in place to achieve what I termed to be a national unity. That is what I want to explain, to say, when I say multi-party democracy is not good, it is because it has privileges of raising arguments unnecessarily for the sake of political mileage. And it is all these negative and positive arguments that has led Africa to where it is today. When I come and say that this multi-party democracy is a cap, as I said yesterday in a message to Hakainde Hichilema, it's a cap that is placed within us. They have given us democracy to oppose anything that is good. I don't see any reason why Edgar Lungu must be buried in South Africa if there can be a reconciliation between the family of Edgar Lungu and the president. I've been repeatedly saying I don't see any problem, even if President Hakainde Hichilema does not preside, let's say, near the body or body viewing. He can he can actually preside over the funeral from a distance, even on television. It can be projected. But all these confusions and misunderstandings surrounding Edgar Lungu is actually made possible because of multi-party democracy. And those who introduced this multi-party democracy, they are enjoying seeing us arguing over something that is unnecessary. Secondly, I want to say, I also watched Tasira. Tasira.
Allegations. The state has not made it any easier for us, as they seem to play to the gallery in matters that relate to our family. Ordinarily, we expect to be the first ones to know as it relates to the matters involving any members of our family. However, we have learned of the recent lawsuits through news items published in tabloids and various social media platforms. We proceeded to engage our lawyers and to obtain necessary documents from the state, which attempts have met with difficulties. We have finally obtained the necessary documents is to allow us to defend ourselves in court. The dramatization of our circumstances by the state in the daily tabloids has only worked to demonize our father, who has diligently worked to serve this country and willingly handed over power to the incumbent. We have spent considerable time with our father and our mother, who in all these difficult times have opted to remain silent. Sorry. Our father's resolve.
All right. I think you have heard what she has been saying. She's complaining of the dramatizing of the issue of the death of the father, the allegations that surround the father's death, the allegations around the family. Everything that is being said, they are not contacted directly, but they get them from social media. And the worst part of it, she laments of being taken to court, which of course, I want to say that all this is unnecessary pressure to the Lungu family. One way or another, if Hakainde Hichilema listened before he became president, he was supposed to listen to God, who revealed to Anderson Magzoka about UPND being supported by the Vatican City, by the Vatican, or by the Pope. If he listened to it, and if he took advice, he was going to avoid these misunderstandings against him. Let me look into another one. I think yesterday I talked about that the open letter to Lev Manawasa was also given to Mwanga. I made a copy to Mwanga, and fortunately, I've just heard Also, Mwanga speaking on social media with him talking about the struggle about independence with
How you used to come to my office in...
We set up the secretariat.
the secretariat was in my office in Kafua House.
Yes. After Garden at Kara Limited, after Garden, we came to your office.
Yes.
Set up the secretariat.
Exactly.
And for me, you may not remember.
I remember everything.
It
You remember?
was the most educative time of my life.
You used to come to Kara Limited, and the boardroom was used as an office, and the secretariat, and we used to have our meetings there. And I remember also that Namboma Holdings were across in Woodgate. That's where the late Atharina was.
Yes.
And you were a regular visitor. We used to interact quite a lot too.
It was a very, very good time for me. And you may not know how much you taught me. One big thing I learned, one very important thing I learned working with you that time was how to treat people. People would come to your office with all sorts of problems. They would leave very happy. Sometimes you have not even solved their problems. Your humaneness, your respect for others, your compassion, the friendliness amazed me. I've never forgotten those lessons.
Yes.
You took me around Lusaka. I met people I did not know. You introduced me to so many people.
Yes.
Some of them have become my very valuable friends to date.
Yes.
Through you. Really, you were my teacher.
Wow.
And I'm grateful for that. I will remain grateful for the rest of my life. You taught me a lot, especially how to deal with other human beings.
Yes.
Because all these things are useless without a human being.
Absolutely.
You can have all the money in the world, you can have all the fame in the world, but if you don't have people on your side, you are nothing. The greatest delight in life, I believe, is a feeling of being near and necessary to other people.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you taught me that.
Wow.
It was a good lesson.
Wow. But embarking on politics in 2018, 2019 has become a very torturous game.
It is.
The environment now has changed because you people are running political parties, especially the new parties, even the ones that existed before. Holding rallies has become a nightmare.
The rally is even much bigger, just a small meeting.
Just a small meeting, yes.
You'll be arrested.
You'll be arrested. So really, I think that the country we have entered a very difficult phase. It's a strange phase, especially for those of us who were involved in the struggle for independence, and then afterwards we became part of the Third Republic, where we are supposed to be more tolerant of each other's views. We're not a monolithic state where everyone is going to state the same things or hold the same view.
It's not possible.
It's just not possible. When that happens,
Even under the one-party state, one view.
When that happens, I'll know that something has gone wrong in our country. We must always have divergent views. In our divergence lies our strength. And people with divergent views should not be looked at as enemies. They're no enemies.
All right. I just wanted to get the view from Mwanga, who spoke history and actually highlighted the fact that 2018-2019 politics have changed. Now, gathering to speak is a crime. Holding a rally is not allowed. Therefore, I want to say that whatever Mwanga has said, and Fred Membe, the Socialist Party leader, they were recalling the last times that they met and organizing all these political meetings peacefully, even under the one state government of Kaunda, coming to Chiluba and so forth. When Edgar Lungu came in, the environment started changing. Oppositions were not allowed to hold parties, parties. And at the same time, I want to say that I've also listened to one also Muzungu Wakukombo Niano. He also brought something to my attention on the what he called the rise and the fall of Katanga, the police minister or the police commander, whatsoever, all the ranks that she went through. The allegations leveled against her was my what captured my interest, and which exactly fits in the narrative of yesterday's message to Hakainde Hichilema. When you look at all these views that I'm bringing across, more especially this last one of Katanga, who rose, being appointed by Michael Sata, while she was still young, she rose to the police command in Copper Belt, raised in all ranks, and finally, the report says that she got wealth, buses, houses, and so forth. So when you look at that reporting, and finally, she was before the court and the judgment was passed, she's serving a 3-year jail sentence. And the buses that she bought are forfeited to the state. They are considered as proceeds of crime. This is exactly what I was saying yesterday. Regardless of its face, I want us as Zambians, let's understand one thing. I'm not defending corruption. I'm not defending thieving. There is a saying, or there's a slogan, Chekeleko, Chekeleko. I think you know what that in Chekeleko is. Because in Chekeleko is whenever a person does service to you, despite that person being paid by the government, you have also to enter into the pocket to do what? To produce an appreciation money. So by so doing, that has grown to a point that all political parties are engulfed in political corruption, because this Nchekeleko system is introduced by donor funding. The more money that comes through aid from donors, I understand during Chiluba, when we hear that 1 million has been donated by America to Zambia, we are clapping hands, thinking that it is the right thing. But the latter thing that I heard is that if $1 million US is given, what comes into our news screen is 1 million kwacha. Whilst the whole other chunk is not reported. When US gives $50 million US, when it comes, before it arrives, it is already changed into kwacha. Oh, we have received 50 million kwacha from US. But when you do the exchange rate, you find that there is more which is not accounted for. And when that comes again, we still have incidences of blue, of gray envelopes when one goes to State House to Chiluba just to greet Chiluba, you come out as a pastor or as a bishop or whosoever, you come out with what? A brown envelope. When Manawasa came in, he says stop to brown envelopes. That corruption, political corruption, which are the money which is coming into the pockets of politicians based on donor funding, is exactly the cause of all these things. Innocently, someone receives an appreciation to say, no, you are a good police commander, you have done your operation well, here is an envelope. And that person thinks of buying one minibus. And when that one minibus is new, it creates and buys another minibus, and she also adds a salary up to create another minibus. By the end of the day, when she's arrested, she's told to say, this is 26 million, and your salary from day one to day one is not 26 million, but it's only maybe 6 million. So where did you get this other 20 million? Then you are a thief. And the whole country will clap and say this person is a thief. But without knowing that those who are bringing those grants, those who are bringing those donor funds, it's like when you get a cat, you put it where rats are. And you expect that when tomorrow morning, you are going to find the equal number of the rats that were in that room. It is not possible. When you take a cat, you put it where there's peanuts, and you count the peanuts or groundnuts to a number of 20. Do you expect that you are going to find the rat without eating peanuts? So those are the things that matters in life. Keep someone hungry, then give him food to look after that food and distribute that food equally to the people outside who are hungry. That person will definitely have to eat first before that person distributes the food to the rest. And when the distribution is not equal, you come and say, you stole because I gave you 3 or 20 pieces that you are supposed to distribute to people. But how did you distribute 16? Where are the 4? This person has to eat one piece, another piece to the next relative, another piece to the next friend, another piece. All those 4 pieces will be shared because they are all neighbors, they are hungry before it goes to the community. So this is what all of us, regardless of UPND today, who is saying that they are a rule of law. The monies that are donated are a trap in our midst. The monies that come to our country through donation, because they have emptied the coffers of what? Of gold, and all copper is what? Is emptied. By the end of the day, we are finding that the government has no money. Once it receives the money, it starts distributing to the key points where they want allegiance. So now, I'm just trying to sum up of what I was talking about yesterday. A government of HH that is haunted by God's message, they must understand to say, when you are fighting political corruption by saying suspect proceeds of crime because the income of that person does not equal the wealth, remember that even when someone is employed, they do extra businesses. There are people who are not sleeping. Here, I met one person who was a teacher and a bus owner and a taxi owner. They call them a taxi lord. Is a teaching. He says, when I finish teaching, I used to get a taxi. I go as far as other town, working. He was buying taxis whilst he was a teacher. Because he says, even I sold vegetables. At night, in the evening, I go at the farm. Early in the morning, before I go for teaching, my bag is loaded with what? With vegetables. I pack my bag, I go and teach. After teaching, I come out, I go and do what? And go and sell those vegetables at a certain point where I know that they are going to finish. At night by 20 hours, I'm back home. I'm sleeping. I'm preparing for my school tomorrow. I go to class. I know to say I'm having an assignment for me to go and deliver 1 or 2 things. And if that person can be compared as another teacher who never did anything, then you are going to say that person has stolen. That's where one thing that I want to say, that approach of fighting corruption without a complainant, but simply coming and say what you have does not amount to your salary, then you are a thief. It is a political crime. It has no truth in it. I don't agree myself. I don't agree. Because even HH, your wealth, if it has to be applied with the same measures, are you going to be able to account to everything that you own? Because the time when you are standing for a president, you are the only billionaire that came up. You're working. The time when you are working at Anglo America, did your salary come to $1 billion? Or there were other measures that accumulated your wealth? The companies that you opened, did they actually, are they equal to your salary? So there are certain things that when we apply to others, we must also make sure that when they are applied to us, can they give the same result? So even if you have the truth to say you inherited from your father, A, B, C, D, but if me, I'm in leadership and I want to revenge, I won't get your explanation. In the similar manner, you may not get the explanation of Tasira Lungu, who is saying that all these allegations, meaning that the cases that they are faced in court, they are allegations. The allegations against their father, they are all allegations. And because you are bent to say they are guilty of the law and they must face the law, you won't understand someone saying that they are allegations. So here's the letter. I'm coming to now to the letter because people have responded that I have no love to Hakainde Hichilema. And I've posted on my story some of the responses that actually nailing me to the cross as an enemy to Hakainde Hichilema. So I'll read this letter that I wrote on 30th December. When I wrote this letter, actually, I was running for my life. And I'm still running for my life. The gun is pointed at me, at my back. So I said, Riff, shocking truth, President Hakainde Hichilema. Okay, let me start by saying Gospel Revelation Ministry, the Remnant Christian Church, the WhatsApp phone numbers, they are no longer working. That one of South Africa, it was blocked. And also this one of Zambia, I lost the card because the phone was stolen. But the date is 30th December 2021. I said, dear His Excellency President Hakainde Hichilema, how are you and the family? Riff. Shocking truth. President Hakainde Hichilema, open letter 1 to 12 volumes of over 200 pages for each book. Compacted love to save life and the nation. I actually said compacted love. I was referring to these books that I wrote. If you see the books that are in display here, which is the first volume is this one, and the second volumes, they are there, this side, which I wrote as compacted love. These are the books that I wrote. So now, let me come to the letter without wasting much of your time. I said, I'm wanted dead or insane for calling for reformation that speak the mind of God in scripture, for the church doctrine and the light to political leaders in their darkest moment, to rescue them from power of the frog while in exile in South Africa. William Tadgley was exiled, pursued, betrayed, arrested, and finally burned at the stake for his one offense, translating the Bible into English. The Bible was his only crime. William Tadgley, 1498, 1494, 1536. This is what I wrote. This man who simply translated the Bible was betrayed, was exiled. He went into exile, pursued, arrested, and finally burned just because of translation of the Bible. The crime William did, today we see it as someone innocent, but the political opinion of his time found him with a crime. So those are the cases which I classify as political arrests and allegations. When the moment of leadership suits someone, people are exiled, are pursued, arrested, and even killed just for doing one innocent thing, which I feel this is done to me. How? I explained. I said the open letter to HH of 12 volumes of books. The first one, the arrest at United Nations High Commission for Refugees, which is a gross negligence. I think, let me just try to show you the books because they are within reach. This is the first one that I wrote, which is gross negligence, that contains my arrests and the allegations of trespass at UN. And when I wanted to present myself at the magistrate court, it was alleged that I have a mental illness. And when I was taken to Viscopis at a mental hospital, it was alleged that they want to scan to see the source of visions, because I see people, big people, and I talk about big people. And mainly others were saying I did what? I actually claim to have spoken to President. Well, it's not. So it's a sign of mental madness. But I thank God because Hakainde Hichilema called me in 2008. I never asked him to call me as I did in 2018, 10 years later. But he called me himself. So now, the claims that Mr. Masuka is mad because he claims that he was with President Kaunda, he was with President So-So, he's mad. And the visions that he sees is a sign of mental illness. I was to be killed because of the same thing, which is a reality. Force-made allegations, they are the ones that led me to be arrested, trapped allegations of trespass at UN, when UN is the office that gave me an ID as a refugee. and it's a office that I consider it as my police, which is entitled to protect me. So those are allegations that are leveled to political former presidents, their family members, and their ministers. So now, when I talk about that, I think this one was to be volume 1, but I later brought this one as volume 1, the 90 days national prayer. It became volume 1. So this volume 1 is a compact of love to Hakainde Hichilema, praying for him. And I'm conducting these messages every 17 hours. I put on sackcloth. And today is the 6th day of the week. Tomorrow is a Sabbath. Starting from evening, I'll put my sackcloth, and the fasting begins. Fasting for Hakainde Hichilema and the nation of Zambia and Africa at large, and all African leaders and the opposition, to understand the message of God as it is preached in these books. So now, I want to go to say 1.2. I said shocking to arrest a refuge of the gospel and political opinion based on visions that were fulfilled over the assassination attempt on President Sata in 2012, and that led me to exile the same year as SDA Church misinformed him, and I was behind, and the same allegations were made against you as the opposition. Then by then Minister of Defense GBM, the Post newspaper, the Post newspaper 2012. So now, I actually explained it to say, this is a shocking, because to arrest a refugee of the gospel, it was something that was uncalled for. Whilst the visions were there that have been fulfilled regarding the assassination attempt on Michael Sata, which happened in 2012, in fulfillment of the vision that I had. 1.3, I said the arrest was a violation of the first draft court order, on which the plan to use the police and the immigration to remove me from sleeping at UNHCR as though I was refusing. Well, it was on record before the court that I applied to be accommodated after UN stopped paying rent, forcing us to sleep by UN gate. While we are waiting for United Nations High Commission Protection Officer promised reallocation, my application before the court that was to be accommodated by UNHCR to see the plan to use the police and immigration in 2020 against a documented refugee proves that the trespass arrest was a means to carry out a plan to kill, as it was planned before. I think this statement I wrote it whilst I was so stressed, because I was on a run. I can't understand really the sentiments, but I'll summarize them the way I was supposed to say it. I actually said my arrest at United Nations was a violation of my right, because I went there waiting to be accommodated by United Nations as it was ordered by the court. Because when I slept at the United Nations for 3 to 5 months, I realized that the tendency of keeping me sleeping outside was a threat to my life. I took a step after there was 2 attempts to abduct me at night by the police. I went to court and opened a case to say there's a negligence, my rights have been violated, I need protection. If possible, let me look for another country of Islam. That was my application before the High Court. In the process of the application, when it was heard, an order was issued that the UN must give me an accommodation for me to sleep until the matter is determined. Whilst that order was being in motion, UN also made application that I must include the Zambian police, all the department, home affairs, and so forth. In fact, I only took the standing committee for refugees. The standing committee for refugees made an application. I should include the UN on the list. I should include the home affairs. I should include the minister of police. I should include almost everyone, making one person fighting 12 respondents to create as if I'm an enemy to UN. Well, I was not an enemy. All what I was looking for is to be attended to. I was looking for protection. So now, this is what I was trying to explain here. An order was given that I must be accommodated. Well, as that order, also they had to put in an application that I need to go for mental examination. Then I also queried, for what? For me to be removed in South Africa, does it require for my mentor to be examined? Because they used the Dr. Lungu to issue a fake medical report that I was mentally ill, schizophrenia. They were countering my application before the High Court. So now, I want to say that when the judgment was given by Judge Musimang J in the High Court, it was saying that UN was supposed to accommodate me, but UN did not accommodate me, kept me whilst sleeping outside there. And that's where I found the fate of being arrested as trespassing. And they changed that trespass when they could see that it cannot stand in the magistrate court. And why taking me to the lower court when the case is already before the court, and I challenged the mental allegation, the mental illness allegation in the High Court, and an appeal was already launched to the Constitutional Court. So they had to arrest me to cover up the false record of mental illness that was filed by an unprofessional doctor who is not even a doctor, who is not a psychiatrist. So now, look at that. So now, this is what I was presenting to my president to understand my situation. Then 1.4, I said that after I challenged the use of police and immigration, they filed a fake medical report alleging that I was suffering from medical disorder, paranoid schizophrenia, to silence the voice, to silence the voice of reason. See the medical report by a social worker, CSVR trauma NP, Dr. Lungu, who is not a psychiatrist, and even the psychiatrist needs my relative to confirm my mental disorder for the court to order for an evaluation. I attached that. I'll show it later if necessary, if one would need to see that. 1.5, I said, my arrests at United Nations office while serving documents by hand on the UNHCR as ordered in the second court ordered by the Pretoria High Court Judge N. Davis, enforcing the first court order to accommodate my family while waiting for a return date on 3rd August 2021, was a trap for me to enter in UNHCR. This is United Nations High Commission for Refugees, as security guards were not permitted to receive anything. And I entered as before while attending interviews in the same office with the former UN representative George Kucho, see High Court Judge N. Davis judgment order, and so forth. I think I will need to read this judgment order. Is it near here? If it's not near here, I'll read it tomorrow, because the judgment order is the one that led me to do what? To enter there to save the document which I was saving from court. After my arrest, I was taken to the magistrate court. I think I've explained this before. 1.7, despite my wife writing to reference to the Judge N. Davis judgment that described me and said, the applicant is acting in person despite previous offers of pro bono assistance arranged by court. He is, however, knowledgeable in the processes and in directive of this court, including its electrical platform. That is Judge Davis judgment, page 2, introduction, paragraph 1, annexure 3. So 1.8, I said that despite my wife explaining my true mental status to the DPP, that is the Director of Public Prosecution, supported both the case of transport, the case of trespass, and at a public office for refugees by refugees, and the accusation for schizophrenia. My wife tried to explain my mental capacity, meaning that I was not mentally ill. But what happens is that the Director of Public Prosecution still permitted the continual trial on fake allegation. This is how political arrests are done. When people, I'm trying to say that political motivated crimes are not a reflection of truth on the ground. They are just something that they can create and make it as a reality. This is exactly what happened to me. So I said, this short note of 9 pages is an introduction to the shocking truth open letter to President Hakainde Hichilema. 12 volumes of compacted love to save life and the nation. A means to rescue the world from darkness, leading Africa into galloping and wallowing in a man-made poverty. As Africa is made to believe that the answer to our atrocities is depending on donor aid, as presidents rule well under gunpoint. If they refuse to depend on aid, they are ruling under gunpoint. If they refuse to depend on aid, then they are killed. It provided foresight to test the allegation of mental disorder by the enemies of the past, present, progressive truth. I further said, yes, the shocking truth letter is hurtful if you have something against God, His ministry, and the people who are suffering unknowingly while sitting on natural resources, as expressed painfully, that people hate the truth for the sake of whatever it is that they love more than truth. They love truth when it shines warmly on them, and hate when it rebukes them. So now, when I look at this, I mentioned of Zambia sitting on natural resources, and they are not knowing what they are sitting on. They are depending on donor aid. Those who are bringing aid, they are simply finding their means to reap, to loot our natural resources. And because of lack of food in our homes, then we start hating each other. We start insulting the president. We start fighting each other. We start looking for political parties that can offer us what we are looking for, what we need as food. And those political parties, they are nowhere to be found. Why? Because the resources are being looted and we are depending on donor aid. And that donor aid is not enough to attend to our needs for school fees, for everything, for clothing, for food, and so forth. So I was trying to explain to say, when people support the truth, it is a time when truth is shining on them. And when truth rebukes them, they hate it. This was St. Augustine of Hippo that wrote this statement. Then I said to President Hakainde Hichilema, as I continue reading this letter, I will avail myself to you with the truth that you know before you became president of UPND, as it was reviewed to late and the founder President Anderson Gambela Mazoka in 2001. He refused to embrace God's ministry. All those that refused have met God's face in their faithful, bitter end of their leadership, as they fought the messenger and the message since 1990, as God spoke louder than a trumpet sound and clearer than a lightning thunder in the heavy rains of the night. I remember this time, that the other time I was in Siavonga, holding a boat on an island, and the rains were pouring by night. I was alone. I failed to cross over to the place where on the shore where I was supposed to be there. But when the rain was over, as I was holding the boat was something that I got without permission, because I was actually following someone who was owing me, who actually told them not to give me any transport. So I had to do what? To get the boat, because I wanted to go back home. So during that night, after being soaked by the rains, that's when I saw the vision for me to go and meet Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. When I saw the vision that I should go and meet Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, I realized that it was time for me to tell Dr. Kenneth Kaunda forcibly the truth. So now when I'm talking about this, I'm saying I avail myself to Hakainde Hichilema in this letter, meaning that I'm not fighting him. I want to whisper to him God's love. And when I whisper to him God's love, I want to save him from embarrassing himself, from following what politics are offering, which is a created drama. I want to tell you to say, during Kaunda, when vigilance were helping to silence those people who were against him, and when crime was rising, I remember one situation when we were at Stanley Bar. We held one thief that was robbing. Then by the time when we were about to reach the police, we found that this thief was beaten by people who we thought they were sympathizers. Hey, this one, what does it do? They hit this person to the face. They hit this person to the face until he started bleeding from the nose. Then they said, you, please, can you leave this thief? If you take the thief to the police, you'll be arrested for assault. You know that even if he's a thief, they will arrest him for stealing. You are also going to be arrested for assaulting him, because you've taken the law in your hands. So the law is in two places. So you will be arrested also for beating him, and he also is going to be arrested for stealing. The two of you, the group of you, the two groups, you are going to remain in custody. That's how that thief was let free. Then I realized that when I saw these thieves in the same group with the one that was beaten, then I realized, oh, this is a game. So when you hold a thief accountable, the very thieves, they'll beat that thief so that they can do what? They can secure his freedom. It happened whilst I was also sleeping at United Nations in Pretoria Central Business. Someone came at night, that was around 21 hours. Then he says, old man, can you go and call for me someone there? Can you call for me the girl from that other tent? I said, you can tell me to call someone's daughter for you. And yes. I said, why? I know. If you want peace, do what I'm saying. I said, me wanting peace? He says, what are you saying? I'm saying, go and call for me that way. I have daughters also. So I should call someone's daughter to come and meet you. Says, no, I cannot do that. Then this one says, he started advancing to me. I said, okay, fine. Let me show you. I did like this with my left hook. The time when he raised the hands, I gave him the right hook. He went up and he came falling down to the ground. I held him with the two hands. From there, what did I do? I asked for help, and when help came, there were two men that came. They hit that person, hit that person, hit that person, until they said, no, leave him, let him go, we've given him a lesson. That's how that person was saved. It was the same formula that I've been just explaining that was happening during the time in Zambia that happened under Kenneth Kaunda before 1990. So today, it happened again to me, Wellestin UN 2015. So all these things that I'm explaining to President Hakainde Hichilema is that politics, you cannot understand your enemy's stratagem to misguide, to divide the nation, and to make everyone look to be a suspect. If you promised to say you are not going to revenge Edgar Lungu, you are not supposed to refuse him medical trips before he returned to politics. Even when all that was removed, the time when Edgar Lungu came to be hospitalized, without offering government what? Incentives as a former president, you as a friend, you are supposed to take a trip and visit South Africa and say, oh, Mrs. Lungu, I've come to see the former president or the opposition leader, Lungu. How is he doing? Is he fine? And without using government money, using your money, your salary, you say, no, today's salary, my monthly salary, at least I've given for the upkeep of the president. I wish him well. They cannot tell you not to go closer to his body. All these allegations we are going to be forgotten about. If again, even now, I was actually telling you, your political advisors that are commenting on my Facebook, that I'm trying to force my way to you. I'm not forcing my way to you. I'm actually trying to give you God's word. If you really wanted peace between you and Lungu without using the court, you could have come and sought advice or called me to talk to you on a phone. If you don't want to meet me, on a video call, because today we are told that voices can be imitated. Someone can speak like you. So I need a video call. You call me. I tell you exactly what you must do to bring peace between you and the first family. If you can take my advice, which is God's advice, you can win the favor of Zambia. Still, if you don't take this advice, those that are supporting you, as those who are supporting SATA, when I started, I wrote a letter to SATA when SATA won, asking to say, let's pray, let's pray. They were mocking me. Hey, you want to take advantage. Hey, I was saying, SATA, let us pray so that you don't die. It was like, I'm actually saying, I have powers. What? I don't have powers. The powers belongs to the one that sends me, who is God. I'm just a messenger, a mere messenger. And when I say these words, I'm saying it not happy. I'm actually forced to say them. If I wanted, I was going to live a quiet life, happy life without interfering in any political issues. But when I'm sleeping by night, God raises me in a terrifying visions, which forces me to speak. I thank God because God has been by my side. The visions that I've been seeing have stood the test of time. The declarations that I've made, they have stood the test of time. And this declaration, when I say, hey church, there's no peace in your going, it is the same declaration which I made in this letter to Edgar Lungu, which I sent to the Patriotic Front office. When I called Edgar Lungu to say, call me in a video call only so that I can talk to you, it was going to save his life. I don't wish Hakainde Hichilema to become the seventh testimony of the fulfilled visions. I would wish Hakainde Hichilema becomes the seventh president who is going to remain in Zambia as the father of the nation because he obeyed God. I don't want Hakainde Hichilema to become a historical figure of just fighting his opponent using the law politically. May God bless you. I'll continue this later tomorrow. I'm actually page 3. So I don't know how many, maybe it will take 3 days for me to finish it. God bless you. God bless you. And I invite those who are following to share this message and to subscribe so that they can receive the next message in case they miss it. Even if you agree with this message, share it as a means to spread the good gospel. If you don't agree with the message, share it in order for you to find understanding from others also that are against this message, and that I may also receive the feedback of what you understand from this message. May the good Lord always shine upon your hearts with truth and only the truth. Amen.